Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are in the world. This here is the Great Human Reconnect. I'm your host, Hayden Binney. And today we're in a new location. We're down the Gold Coast with a very special guest. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Jarrah Martin and I live in the Gold Coast and I've been here for the last 6 years.
How's life?
Man, a lot's happened in the last 6 years. It's a completely new life to what I was used to, and it's just every year it's funny, me and my wife always sit down and at the end of the year we're like, fuck, this is a massive year, how are we going to top that? And then the next year it's topped. So it's crazy. It's hard to explain it because it's just happened so quickly, but I'm here for it.
Perfect. So take us back to before things were what we see online now, before we see the sports cars, luxury vacations, stuff like that. What was life like for you?
It was good as far as I didn't have a troubled family. My parents broke up when I was younger, but the things that I was doing in my life were not good, where I was around the wrong people. I was doing a lot of drugs. I was drinking a lot. I was partying a lot. I didn't work. And I didn't have an inkling to do well. Like I knew that I wanted to, and I knew that I believed that I could, but I just never knew the vehicle to do it or the people to surround myself with to be able to do it. And yeah, I just got stuck in a bubble of depression, anxiety, and thinking that I was a lesser person than I probably was. And I think that just snowballed me to not have drive or career aspirations or anything like that. So I was just very stuck for a very long time. And I think it was the place I was at and the people I was around. There was no sort of outlet for me to believe that there was anything more for me. So even though like a lot of my mates did hold jobs and they were builders and plumbers and all that kind of stuff, it was just the town that I was in. There was a lot of the opposite of it as well. And that's where I sort of got mixed up with, and I was very lazy, and yeah, I just snowballed.
Obviously, looking back in hindsight's always a bit of a bitch. But like, why do you think you were lazy? Why do you think you fell into bad crowds? Why did you fall into different substances and stuff like that?
I think it's the same as the reason I am where I am now is because of the people I'm around. Like, and it's not their fault. Like I was easily, what's the word? I was easily persuaded to live that life, but I just didn't know any better. And unfortunately, it's a ceiling that I created for myself for a very long time, and there was no sort of really successful people around me. There was just normal, average people as the higher end of where we were, but then there was a lot of the lower end as well. And I don't know, I just got mixed up in that. I think it was just, like I said, the people I was around and the beliefs that I was creating in my head from it.
So is it safe to sort of assume your network is your net worth?
100%. Like I couldn't push that any harder.
So give us a bit of a idea now. What is your current network like?
It's like I have some really successful people around me. And I've learned that when I was around the people I was before I came up here, I had a really good group of friends, but I just learned that I used to tell myself I was shy and introverted. So I wouldn't go and meet new people. And I used to smoke a lot of weed, so that didn't help as well. Like I'd just lock myself in a room and that'd be my dopamine. So moving up here, it was like a fresh restart. I could recreate my identity, and no one knew who I was. So I didn't have to bank on what I thought I was. And when I moved up here, the biggest goal was to just meet new people, network with people. And luckily enough, I was already in the industry of fitness. So I started meeting people through bodybuilding and coaching, and then I ended up meeting the people that I used to literally follow on Instagram and look up to, and now that's my circle. Like it's crazy.
And how long did this change take from you going from the old version of you to this current version?
It probably started when I was about 26. I went through a really bad breakup, and that was the rock bottom I think I needed to hit at that point, because I hadn't really hit like a real rock bottom. Like I was hated life, I was depressed, I was anxious, but I'd never like had a period of my life where everything went wrong and I just had nothing, and I was locked myself in a room for 5 days. And then that's where I just started to like really have a good hard look and think about what I wanted to do and who I was becoming. And I started doing my PT course, and it was a selfish thing at the start. Like all I wanted to do was learn about how I can, because I was training already, I just wanted to learn how I could increase my potential within my fitness journey that I was already on. And that led to me doing a transformation challenge with a supplement company, and I won the nationwide part of that. And because of that, I got offered a whole lot of personal training jobs, and that put my foot in the door of doing something that I started to work doing something I was passionate about. And I learned about what it takes to, like, I had my own little business. I was working at a gym still, but I learned that you don't have to do something that you absolutely hate as a job, which I thought that was the case until that point. I was doing labouring, I was doing bar work, I was doing all these things that I'd last 3 days, and then I'd quit. And I started doing this PT stuff where I was like helping people do what I've done, change their life, become more confident, become healthier, live longer. And the satisfaction of that started pricking my ears on this could be the thing. Like I really love to do this. And that turned into 2 years. I think I did 2 years of PT. And then from there it turned into a little bit of online, because we were sort of handling people's meal plans and like videos and PDFs and stuff away from the gym. So I started another little, what I would have called a side hustle, where I was charging them money to not just do the PT, but do the whole week for them. And just with friends to start with, and that just turned into something that is what it is now, but that was the beginning of it.
So you mentioned earlier, obviously, the tough breakup. Was that the fracture moment when you realised shit had to change?
I think leading into that, there was periods, there was little glimpses of me realising that things needed to change. But like I said, I never had that like smack in the face that I needed to be like, sort your shit out. Because when you got nothing and you are at the rock bottom, there's so much more that you think about. And I talk about it all the time to people. I'm like, rock bottom is the best thing you can go through, because adversity is what's going to create your strength within yourself and your passion and what you know you're capable of doing, because you're backed against a wall and you have to make it work. So if it wasn't for that, I don't know what would have happened. But I've hit a few rock bottoms after that as well. So, but that was definitely a pivotal moment.
It's one of those things, rock bottoms, it's a beautiful thing and also a bit of an upsetting thing. It's like, because once you hit that point, you see how shit life is. You see all the mistakes, everything's amplified. It would be good if we could make the changes before we hit that rock bottom, but unfortunately it takes shit hitting the fan for us to finally look in the mirror and you wake up, because I feel like you're in such a daze for such a long time. Life is just going by you so quickly. Things just progressively get worse. I feel like it's rock bottom, and then the thing that leads the people to rock bottom, in my opinion, is that comfort zone. So many people get stuck in the comfort zone where it's like things are just good enough for long enough that they'll stay. There'll be relationships. If it was a little bit worse, you'd be better off. Yep. If the job paid you a little bit less, you'd be better off. It's just this constant lingo we're juggling. It's like we need like, I'm sure there's a lot of psychology to it. I'll ask if you have any opinions on that, but it's like, why does it take the rock bottom to make a change? Why can't we make a change when we're in that comfortable zone, or when we're just cruising by life?
I think it's the way that our brains are programmed is comfort. So you only know what you know, and if it's easy, then it's easy to stay doing that thing. But in hindsight, it's hard, because you probably hate what you like. If you're close to that rock bottom, you're probably hating what you're doing, but it's all you know. So our brains are programmed to retract as soon as we do feel any discomfort. And that's why so many people don't change, and they just get stuck being overweight, doing a job they hate, all those things. So I think over time, you start to learn that like every time you do feel that discomfort and you do hit those rock bottoms, the other side of that becomes exciting because you know how much growth you're going to get out of it. So I always talk to my fitness clients about when you get those feelings of anxiousness or nervousness or uncomfortability, start leaning into that and like labeling that as growth. Because if you're continuing to let your mind and your subconscious brain let you go down a path, then you stay comfortable. So if you start doing the uncomfortable things, then it's going to lead to change, and that's going to lead to resilience. It's going to lead to getting out of the place that you're stuck in. So I think the rock bottoms have to happen. Like as unfortunate as it is, and a lot of people, unfortunately, they don't come out of them. But I think the more I go through them, the more, even in business, the more excited I get as to what I'm going to learn in that period of time, because I know that there's so much that I'm going to have to do that I wouldn't have otherwise done.
Like you mentioned earlier, obviously you had like the glimpses of where you started to make a change. This is a question I've been wrestling in my own head. What differentiates the glimpses you have of changing and then resulting back to the old ways versus the time that you actually change and follow through with the change and don't go back to the old ways?
I don't know. It's hard to sort of say, because there was periods of my life where I probably should have made the changes earlier. But I guess the harder you hit the ground, the harder you come out of it. Like it's the trajectory that you have from the lower the lows. As they say, what goes down comes up, what goes up must come down. I think it's one of those, like the more you get backed against the wall, the more you have to change, and it's hard to know. I don't know. It's a hard question to answer, to be honest.
No, of course it is. Obviously, we've spoken a little bit about obviously how things were, what life was like. Run us through now, obviously, on the Goldie. What's life like now? What's a normal week in your life?
So I've got a couple of businesses now. I've got the health and fitness business, which I'm still pretty involved with. I'm slowly starting to delegate a lot of it. So a typical week is sales calls, group meetings, managing my staff, brainstorming, getting into that flow state to think of what the next big idea is. But then I've got another business which I'm working on, or another two businesses which we're working on now. And then on the weekends, I try and take time away. Like I think for the first 3 or 4 years of feeling what the success was like, I was very hyper focused on trying to catch up on the life that I feel like I'd missed, because I hadn't done a lot for so long of my life. So I was working every day, all day, weekends, didn't have too much of a social life. And then probably 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I promised myself that what's the point of doing all this if I'm not going to enjoy it? So the weekends for me, I still work, but I don't have things like, I don't have calls booked in. I don't have to do things. I do them if I choose to and if I have time to. So normal week is flat out every day, Monday to Friday, and then weekends is where I socialise. Like I'm very social. I feel like I said before, I was very introverted and not social. So now that I have sort of recreated my identity with that, Friday night I'm asking one of the boys or someone to go out to dinner with, catch up. I love networking. I love talking about business. I love talking about life. And the week is where I'm just doing the opposite of that. And then weekends is where I'm doing that.
You said something interesting. It was obviously having to relearn to be sociable again and get out of your comfort zone. I'm going through the exact same thing. So I left school 17, not knowing what I was going to do. applied to, I think it was like 68 jobs. The first job that got back to me was selling cars. So I went in and sold cars for the next 5 years. During that time, super sociable, such an extrovert. Everyone's like super high energy. I left that job to go start my own business and to go travel the world. It was like as soon as I did that, the introvert in me just came out, stuck to myself, spoke to my wife, spoke to my best friend. That was about it. And then it's like now getting back into the podcasting, trying to network, get around the people that I want to be around. It's now trying to become like that old version of myself again, getting out of your comfort zone. Like, why do you think it's so difficult to come out of your shell and to be more sociable?
Because you label yourself as a certain identity, and the power of your conscious thoughts and feelings and takes on everything will dictate how your subconscious acts and your future plays out. So I think a lot of people, they do say they are this or they are that or they can't do this or that, and it just creates them to have that really strong conviction and belief that's the reality. So it's like, that's another thing I'm learning a lot about is the subconscious mind, the power of how you talk to yourself. Like if you tell yourself that you're fat, then you will continue to be fat. But if you tell yourself that you're a person who's not happy and has a layer of something that can be removed, then you start to believe the new reality of where you can be. So I think a lot of that social sort of introvert, extrovert, whatever you think you are, it's going to play out. It's just whatever that little voice in your head is telling yourself, that's the reality.
What else about studying, obviously, the subconscious and stuff like that? What else have you learned? What has been the biggest takeaway from it?
That you're capable of anything. There's no difference between, and I compare it to business and I compare it to fat loss because they're the two businesses that I have, but there's no difference between me and someone who's overweight other than my brain. So that's why in our fitness business, the big thing that we focus on is not nutrition and exercise. It's the way that you think, the way that your mind plays out, because it's as easy as changing that. And then the nutrition and exercise will start to play out. If you just give someone a nutrition and exercise plan, but they have self-doubt and they're in their head all the time, they might get like a short-term result, but they won't keep it because they haven't retrained and reprogrammed their mind. So with my fitness business, it's all about the neural patterning of the brain and learning about how strong that is just, it's a no-brainer when it comes to losing weight, making money, becoming better in your relationship. It has nothing to do with the surface level stuff that most people push. It's just this. And I think people with a strong mind can do anything. Like there's no difference between me and Elon Musk other than his head, literally.
Yeah. No, I like that. I mean, while we're talking about the business, we may as well dive into it now. For people at home that might not know sort of exactly what you do, I know you've touched on it briefly, sort of dive in a little bit more, sort of what you do, and then I want you to tell me what that business has done for you.
Yeah, so I've got the first initial business that's got me to the success that most people see now is my fitness business, which I started, it's transition. I've basically done two of it, but it started with helping men, which we were the surface level program when I first started. We were the ones that were giving people the app and the meal plans and the training programs and expecting them to just stick to it and like, why aren't you getting results? Like thinking that it was as easy as I thought it was because I was me and they were them. And I went through a phase of doing very low ticket stuff, getting very low quality clients. As you hear, the more you pay, the more chance you're going to stick to things. And then that got me to the point of just learning more about business itself and understanding sales and marketing and making sure that obviously the product is what you say it is, and making sure that as we started increasing prices and as we started increasing clients and We had all the systems to make sure that they're walking away with the long-term results. I started sort of shifting my focus of just wanting to make money to actually wanting to solve the problem. And like, why aren't all my clients getting results? So that's why I went down the brain path, because I understood that everyone's doing meal plans, training programs, and it's unfortunately 90% of people are not getting results. And then that's just started growing pretty rapidly. For 7 years, from like that 20, when I turned 26, when I hit that first rock bottom, to about 32, I was just spinning my wheels, didn't know what I was doing, was just getting no traction, making just enough to get by. And then when I moved to the Gold Coast, there was a promise that I made myself that I was like, I'm going full-time online. I'm not going back to working for someone else. I either make this work, or I don't know what would happen if I didn't. But moving up here, I got a mentor. I started learning even more about sales and marketing and fulfillment, and then built that business with the men into, I think we got that to about 2.2 million per year. And then we started testing with females, because I was getting a lot of females coming through my organic stuff, but a lot of our ads were running to just males. And we were trying to sort of niche down and be specific with who we were working with. And I also really enjoy helping men. I think a lot of men need a lot of help, but there's a lot of them that have this wall and ego that won't let people in, and that unfortunately creates the business side of things to be less profitable. So we started testing things. We were getting a lot of females coming through organically, and then we started doing ads for females, and I got this whole new lease of passion again, because it was like this new thing. And then we went all in on females, and we've been doing that for the last 12 months, and we've got that up to 3.5 million. So it's basically two businesses doing the same thing, but both 7 figures. And that's what it is today, is the female side.
So obviously last year you did 3.5 million. What did you do your first year?
The first year of online coaching would have been in maybe a couple of thousand. But 4 years ago, I think it was 4 years ago, I did 36 grand for the year. So it's 100x.
In 4 years, why doesn't everyone 100x their business in 4 years? And probably the big thing is, in the fitness coaching space, I don't know if it's just my feed, who I follow and stuff like that. I feel like every day there's 25 million new people becoming a fitness coach, selling programs, selling packages and stuff. How do you deal with a market which is so oversaturated? And second of all, and then how do you then 100x your business and do $3.5 million in a year?
I think it comes down to, again, my head. Like I'm a fucking savage when it comes to getting shit done. Like I move fast. I don't hold back. It doesn't all have to be perfect before I try or do something. So I just learn along the way, and I've just found that that's the thing that's continued to get me to where I am, is like, because I now coach coaches, and a lot of the problem that I see with them is that there's probably a lot that they know they should be doing, but they're not doing it. And if you want to actually grow, you have to be doing the things that, again, we go back to that feeling of uncomfortability, or what are people going to think, or what are people going to say, or what if this breaks, or what if this doesn't work? It's like, just deal with it when it gets to there, because a lot of the time it won't happen like you think it's going to happen. And like, there's definitely things that I've done wrong. There's definitely points where I thought the whole business was gone. But those adversity, those are the bottoms where you do learn a lot more, because you have to dig a lot more into yourself and into the business, and you start pulling out all these problems that you didn't realize you had. So when things do start coming back up, you've solved not just the big problem, but you've solved all the little problems. Where there's a lot of people that I see that they're trying to solve all these problems that aren't problems yet. So they're just wasting years and years and years of time not doing the simple shit. Like the simple shit, you should be building authority. You should be getting your face out there, posting content, understanding how to sell, and then fulfilling on the product. That's it. It's simple. But I think people overcomplicate it. And they see a lot of other, unfortunately, it's how marketing works. They create all these new fads or new gimmicks that are supposed to get people from 0 to 100x of their business. But it's just, they're just dressing up this simple thing that the person already probably knows about, but making it sound a lot more complicated.
Do a lot of your clients come from paid advertising, paid marketing that you run, or is it built off of your personal brand? The clients are coming to you.
It's about probably 20% organic, and then 20 to 30% organic, and then 70 to 80% from ads.
How do you become a master marketer in an industry like this, where, as you said, there's so many people posting all these promises of, hey, we're going to help you lose X amount of weight in this time. We're going to do a transformation in 30 days. What do you do to stand out from the competition?
Get the result.
Get the result.
Yeah. I think that's another thing that people churn a lot as well. I think there's a lot of businesses that they do well for maybe 6 to 12 months, but then they're old news and you don't hear from them again because they haven't actually banked on the result of the client. They've just banked on being good at marketing for a period of time, but the thing that's going to drive the needle in any business is what you're providing people, because you're going to get referrals, you can have testimonials, you can have transformations, and people will start to trust you. And if they don't trust you, then they're not going to give you a cent. They'll sit on the sidelines for forever.
So is the key to a good offer trust?
Yep. Definitely trust. And trust, but also like simplicity and like logical results, because I think especially fitness, everyone's promising these 10-week challenges or these 8-week transformations, and like it's all well and good and they get them. But those same people, this is why the fitness industry is so big, is because those same people within the next 6 to 12 months have to go find another coach because they've gone back to where they were, if not worse. Probably a high chance they've got back to a worse position because the problem wasn't solved. It was a surface level nutrition plan or exercise program which gave them a quick fix, made them feel good about themselves, but it didn't solve this. And it's the same with coaching. Like, people could go learn how to do a new funnel and put all the money into it, but the fulfillment on the other end of it is not showcasing that they know what they're really doing. They've just got a whole bunch of clients on the front end, and then they didn't deliver on the product, so there's no more clients coming through because they've saturated it.
So you work in this industry and working with sort of a large volume of people. What have you learnt about the sort of human psychology the most, which is the most most beneficial, and the one that you can sort of use to sort of manipulate people in a way to obviously close the deal, get the sale?
You got to sell off transformation rather than all the fancy little bells and whistles that you think about when you're doing fitness or business. You're thinking about the meal plan, the nutrition plan, the training, all the things that you have to do. Business, you're thinking about running the ads, the marketing, all that kind of stuff. But what you want to do is you want to actually sell where they are. What's the consequence of them not changing that? And what's it going to feel like when you get to the dream state? Because that's what's going to make them more emotionally bought into something. It's not, if you start talking about, yeah, we're going to provide you with check-ins and accountability, and we're going to give you this amazing meal plan, amazing training program, that person's sitting there going, holy fuck, that's a lot of work. Whereas if you're selling like, so where are you right now? How's that affecting you? What's that, like, how's that going to be if you stay like that? If you don't lose the weight, if you don't make the money, and then put them in a spot where, what if you do lose the weight? How's that going to feel? What if you do make the money? How's that going to feel? What's that going to do for your family? What's that going to do for your future? So they start thinking about the reality of being where they are and not changing, and the reality of getting to that point where they want to be, rather than this period, the part that it's going to take to get there. Because people won't buy the fact they've got to put in effort.
You probably know better than anyone, people are fundamentally lazy.
100%.
They don't want to do anything. So, I mean, it's your job to make it as simple, straightforward, and in a way like baby-fied in a way. So it's like, it's so simple they don't feel overwhelmed because I feel like, as you sort of touched on earlier, a lot of people overcomplicate things and make life 10 times harder than what it needs to be.
Yep, 100%. And it can be so simple. Both of those things. Fitness, like my fitness at the moment where I am maintaining the spot that I am with that, like I literally, all I focus on is just hitting my protein. By the end of the day, as long as I've hit my calories, I just eat whatever I want. It doesn't have to be at a certain time. It doesn't have to be a certain food, where I used to think that. And I went through a period where I binge ate for 2 years after my first bodybuilding comp because I got so stuck in chicken, broccoli, rice, no sauce, no salt, no this, no that, only this at this time. It was so restrictive that as soon as I got to have the freedom of reality again, I lost complete control because I felt like I'd missed out on so much of the foods that I wanted and life and social settings and all that kind of stuff. And now that's why I've obviously dug deeper into how can I simplify it for people so that they can live a normal life. They can still party, they can still drink alcohol, they can still have chocolate, they can still eat ice cream, because I do that. And I'm where I am because I've learned how to do that properly where it's simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. Same as the business side of things. Like I'm probably when it comes to the smarts of words and like things I learn at school, I'm pretty dumb. But when it comes to simplifying things and just getting it done, that's what I'm good at.
So you just mentioned before, obviously, the bodybuilding shows. You don't do that anymore, do you?
No, I did, probably did it a bit too long, to be honest. My first comp was around that period at 26 where I sort of started getting better in my life. Did my PT course, got into really good shape, and then did my first comp. I think it was probably 27. And from there, I just, like I said, I binge ate for 2 years, lost control of life again, hit another rock bottom, and that made me want to learn more about, like, why did I lose control with my food? Why did I put on like 30 kilos in 3 months after my first comp? So, like, I lost complete control. I went from being in the best shape of my life to the worst shape of my life in a very short period of time. And then for 2 years, I was just trying to find myself again, and then I competed again in another federation. The first one was ICM, which is like a natural comp. Yep. And then the next federation I did was WBFF, which was one up in the Gold Coast. It was not so much like IFBB, which is all about the body. This was like glitz and glamour and social media and like how you market yourself and stuff as well. So that was the thing that made me meet a lot of people, but it was the start of I guess you could call a bodybuilding career. And I've done 10 comps all up. But it was probably the last 2 to 3 years of doing comps where I was just not doing it for the right reasons. And I got caught up in, I had really good genetics, and everyone used to tell me that, like, you get told that you shouldn't waste them, and like you could make it to the top, and
you forced yourself to do it.
Yeah, you get delusional. You think that you can be a world champ, and you are only doing it for that reason because of the noise outside and all the people telling you that. And I didn't enjoy it for the last few years. It was just, I thought it was also going to help with my business, which unfortunately was the opposite because I wasn't giving the time and energy that I should have been to the business, and I was also attracting the wrong people. Like General Pop was the people that I was wanting to work with, where bodybuilding attracts people that want to become bodybuilders. So it was a good period of my life though, because I learned a lot of discipline. I learned a lot of resilience. It's probably one of the hardest things a human can do is get to that level of body fat. So it's no regrets at all, but if I had the time again, I probably would have stopped a bit earlier.
You wouldn't be able to tell looking at me. Like back when I was in like high school and stuff, I was super into like the whole bodybuilding, the gym scene. I mean, like my whole life being like severely anorexic, super skinny, made fun of just for being super skinny, just super weak. Moved to the Sunshine Coast where I live now. Finished off year 11, 12 there. Got super big into the gym and stuff. I was on. What was it? Is it T-Mag? Do you know the online blog, the red one? T-Nation.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'd be in between classes all day, reading all the articles on T Nation, watching all my favorite bodybuilding influencers, being like, that's what I want to do. Did that just crazy. Went from being super skinny to then getting some muscle and stuff. And then I met another older gentleman who used to compete in the IFBB Pro, and he was then going to try and like help me sort of go through the route, get me into like some ICN competitions and stuff. At the time, I just didn't have the commitment to stick with it, because I have a huge respect for anyone that's super jacked and like obviously steps on stage, because it takes such a level of commitment with diet, training, how many steps you have to get in a day, the lifestyle you can live. Because I admit I wasn't mentally strong enough at the time to do that. I find the bodybuilders are, it's probably could be part of the way how you're so disciplined, how you're so laser focused, because it's like you're going through those cuts when you're just eating, you're having no carbs, you're just eating chicken, plain chicken, and like I've done that for a little bit, nowhere near as much as you, and like I know how unenjoyable it was. So I can only imagine your experience.
Yeah, it was, and I was a very routine person, so it worked well with that. But I just I'm very addictive. I've got an addictive personality, and that's why the drugs became what they were. It's why I did the bodybuilding for so long. That's why I'm doing really good with business, because once I start doing something and I turn that into that routine and I build those habits, I am laser focused with it. But I think I was the same as you as far as the reason I got into bodybuilding. I was the skinny, small guy. So I used to get pushed around a lot and bullied, couldn't sort of stand up for myself. And when I was 19, I started training, and you just gain more respect as well. The way that you look, if you walk into a room full of strangers, they're straight away, and unfortunately it's how humans are, we just instantly judge someone
100%.
Based on what we first see. So if you do look like you're in shape, or you look like you've got money, or like whatever it is, that's instantly the first judgment that you get. So I started getting a lot more respect, and the judgment was positive rather than negative when I started building my physique. And I think I got really addicted to that feeling. And then the same thing happened when I got into the business side of things. When I had the money, and I started walking into rooms full of people that I used to feel really dumb around, but they were giving me more respect than if I didn't have that. So it's a thing that I think a lot of people don't understand, and especially businessmen. Like, there's so many business people that are not in shape, and the amount of more success and respect they could gain just by getting into shape could literally change their business. So, and it's another thing that I went down the route of a little bit with the business coaching was going to be like, the first pillar of that was to get into the best shape of your life and become the best man that you can become. Unfortunately, it wasn't hitting the market because it's not as sexy as making money. So now we are marketing I help coaches scale their businesses. That's the marketing. But on the back end, we're helping them get into shape. We're helping them with their mindset. We're helping build the community of like-minded people. And that's something that I know is going to help them with their business. It's not just, it's not something that we can market, but it's something that I know is going to be a huge pillar on the back end.
I 100% agree with you when you sort of touch on, obviously, judge someone of how they look and stuff like that. Like, being vulnerable for like a minute, it's like, that's probably, I think that's really tough for me at the moment, because I went such a long time. I was never huge. I was never going to go crazy, but I was always slim. I was super athletic. Good definition for what it was. Very low body fat naturally. And it's like, I look back on old photos at like where I was and stuff, and then I sort of look into the mirror now, and it's like, I struggle with that respect for myself, because I'm like, damn, like I saw what I was. Like, I look in the mirror now, and it's like, that's sort of like my big sort of like thing that's in my head at the moment. I'm like, I look like shit. And like, I go like to the beach and stuff with my mates and stuff, people that I know, and they're like, oh, there's this one guy, I'll show you him after, he's huge. And I'm just like, walking next to him, it just makes me feel shit. And like, rightfully so, it should make me feel shit, because I went such a long time neglecting, like the binge eating. That was something I sort of did, like up until leaving school, super into the gym, got that 6-day-a-week car sales job. Went from being moving constantly to sitting 8 hours a day, drinking coffee, eating loaded fries from the cafe next door, milkshakes, you name it, I had it, and I just got so fat, and you feel so shit about yourself. And like now I'm trying to make that shift back. It's embarrassing to say, but like I went on I saw someone posted on Instagram the other day, like they took a photo on ChatGPT and stuff, like showed them like what they can look like if they stick to something for a year. Because like my biggest thing at the minute, like I've never stuck to things for such a long time, and like I'm coming to a position, it's like things are starting to click for me, and like that's why I asked the question earlier about like what changes from like when you one time are you going to change, another time you're going to change. Like I've done that, and I don't know I don't know what it was. This time now, it's trying to then transform what I look like. So I took that photo on ChatGPT. I've got it like saved at the top of my camera roll and stuff. It's just that constant reminder to look at, to be like, I don't want to look, because I look in the mirror and see like what I look like now from what I used to look like. I'm like, that's fucking disgusting. Like, no wonder why I've got no energy. Like, that's what eating shit food for a few years did to me. And I'm like, it hurts, but like, it's the reality. I've put myself in a situation. Only I can get myself out of it.
Yeah. And it's also because you've known what you are capable of as well. I think a lot of people don't know that. Yeah. So that's why they're obviously a lot more stuck. But yeah, like being in shape is not just a personal feeling. It's like it drives so much more success in your relationship with your partner, with your kids, with your business, your mindset, how you think about things, the brain fog, all that kind of stuff. It comes from being in shape and being happy with who you do see in the mirror. So nothing will ever eventuate in life until you're happy with that. And then once that happens, it's like blocks just stack up.
Like some people have told me it's the wrong way to think and stuff, but like how I've told it in my head, because I'm like, I've got to like force myself to change. I've put like these guidelines in my head. It's like, until I look in shape, until I can like beat like the addictions and stuff I face and stuff like that, it's like until I can beat them, I'm never going to be successful. That's sort of like, so now I'm like forcing myself every time I want to slip up and stuff, every time I don't want to do some form of like training. It's like I told myself, and I prayed it, and I'm like, I'm not going to be successful until I can just commit to it.
Yeah, for sure. And you think about all of the really successful guys, like your Grant Cardones, your Tony Robbins, all those guys are in shape, and that's part of their daily routine is they have to train. Kevin Hart, The Rock, they're all guys that are in shape, and I think that's a fine example. Like that's the proof in the pudding. The best in the world are in shape. It's not just for themselves; it's for a reason.
Now to sort of switch up the sort of vibe for a little bit, I have to ask, run us through the moment when you saw it clicked over making your first $1 million and then buying your dream car.
I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Was it a pinch me moment, or it was sort of just like, oh, it is what it is?
It was a weird dynamic because it was when I met Courtney, my wife, she was killing it. Like she was doing online fitness, and she was making hundreds of thousands a year, and I was making like $500 a week. So that was the thing that just made me go, like, as a man, not being able to not even really pay 50% of a dinner out sort of thing made me go, fuck, I really need to sort my shit out. So for a while, it was not just health and fitness. I was trying crypto, I was trying trading. I was just putting in so much time and effort into learning things that I nearly gave up on the fitness, and then the fitness took off. Because the fitness took off, Courtney was still in her masculine. So she felt like when she started hearing me doing well, she felt like her business was failing in a way. So it was like there was a period of time where I sort of wasn't celebrating too much. I was just like, I was also delusional as to whether this was like a lucky period of my life and everything was going to fall down. I still didn't know. So when I hit my first $1 million, I was still in that mindset of like, is this just a bubble? Is this going to burst? Like, and then over time, it's so many periods of the business where it goes up and it goes down, and you think it's all over, and then it goes back up, and you think you're going to the moon, and then those are the things that's just made me realize that like I've got this. there's no way I'm going backwards anymore. But then things just started eventuating. Like the first million, I was a bit numb to it. And then I started saving enough money. We bought our first house. That was probably the period where I was like, holy fuck. Like I've just basically gone from 0 to hero in 12 months. I think I went from 36 grand to 360 grand in the first solid year of it.
Okay.
And then that was the next year was where I bought the house, and we had this 5-bedroom house in the Gold Coast, and then I bought the AMG, which was my first decent car. So it was like, it wasn't each thing that I bought, there wasn't like a feeling really attached to each period. It was more just a combination of those things. But yeah, it just gave me confidence in what I was doing, and just made me realize that, like, you're doing this shit. You're living the life that you told yourself that you would live. And I always used to tell my mum, even when I was smoking weed and taking drugs and not holding a job, that I'm going to be a millionaire. Had no fucking idea how, but that was every time I sort of had those milestones, I kept remembering that, like, I'm doing it. Like, I'm literally doing what I said I could do, and it's the power of the mind. I believed it, and I achieved it.
Even though, like, when you were smoking weed all the time and like telling your mum you're going to be a millionaire, do you think if you were to have a conversation with him now and you told him, hey, we did it, he would actually believe it?
Nah,
Nah.
absolutely not. Like, I was delusionally saying it when I was talking to mum.
Which you've got to be delusional.
Yeah, 100%. But I was always very, like, money focused. Like, I wanted to have, like, the cars used to grab my attention. The nice houses used to grab my attention. Like, it's not for everyone. But for me, it was that was, ever since I was a kid, it was always those were the things that really, like, stood out to me. So for as long as I can remember, I always wanted and was jealous of those people. So I think that was the thing that made me just always tell mum, like, it was not that I wanted to be a soccer player or this or that. It was like, I'm going to be a millionaire. That was my sense of, if I could flick my fingers and be something, that would be it. And I guess that's the power of the subconscious mind, is like, I just kept embedding it into my head.
It's like, look at me now.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'd say to myself, look at me now. Like, it's crazy. And it's like, the more that I've become, the more success I've had, the more I believe I'm capable of. Like, I've got some huge aspirations and dreams and things that I probably wouldn't even tell people because they'd laugh at me. But I know that I'm going to get there. There's no doubt. It's just a matter of how long.
I want to ask you, I've noticed it on your hands. What does stay true mean?
Subconscious. Believe whatever you think that you can be, and stay true to that.
What about taking full ownership?
I think I'm pretty good at that,
Yeah.
to be honest. I'm pretty raw and open about things, and if I'm wrong, I'll admit it. If I'm right, I'll admit it. I'm very open. Like, I think there's not as much of that ego or having to prove myself, because, and there's another area of what we do with the fitness stuff and my own personal development, which is like breath work, retreats, things that put yourself in a very vulnerable position to learn more about yourself, that I think a lot more men especially need to do, that inner work. And you need to own your shit. Like, a lot of people can't, unfortunately, and it's what creates the bad relationships, or it's what creates the businesses to go bankrupt. It's just the ownership of who they've become and who they need to become.
Like, excuse my language, but it's like you are helping people unfuck their lives.
Yeah, 100%. And I fucking enjoy it. I really enjoy it.
I was going to ask, like, how does it feel, like, going to bed at night knowing that you have changed someone's life, and in effect you could have changed, like, the whole their entire generation to come through what you've like bestowed into someone?
It's like, I always helped people before I had money and before I was doing it for a job. I just really enjoyed it. And like, even back home where there was a lot of troubled kids and families, and like, a lot of the time people would come to me and I'd give a lot of my time to that, trying, like, not always being able to solve the problem, but now to be able to do that as like a job, like, it blows my mind. Even before I did the fitness part, like, just the fitness part was just, every few days I'm like, I say it to Courtney, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how is this life?
Yeah.
How am I literally living the thing that I'm so passionate about and getting paid for it?
Like, you're really living a lot of people's dream.
Yeah. And I feel it's not guilty, but, like, I don't know. I don't know how to explain how I feel about it, but I'm like, if I seen me doing what I'm doing and having the success I'd have, if I was my old me, I'd be like, fuck you. Like, how the fuck? Why do you get to do that? So yeah, it's a weird feeling, but I think not everyone is out to help everyone, and I am. I always have been, and even now, like, I help a lot of people for no money. It's not all about the money. Yeah. The money has been the thing that I think when you do monetize your passion, it's just a snowball effect based on your passion, not based on being money hungry.
I've seen on your page a few times, obviously, a few hate comments and a few people sort of dissing you. I mean, like, what's the biggest thing that you get? And then, like, is it sort of like water off a duck's back, or does it sort of bother you a little bit?
It used to bother me a lot, but that was more when I was, like, not sure of who I was. I wasn't in shape. I didn't have control over what dopamine hits I was trying to chase. I was doing the drugs. I was doing all that stuff. So I used to comment back, and I used to go and read all those comments. Now I'm like, I don't give a fuck. It does not worry me one bit. Like, I care about the people around me that are close to me, and I'll take in everything. And I'll ask people, like, if there's a situation that I feel like I could have done better, I'll ask the people that I respect, what could I have done better, and I'll take everything on board. I'll never sit there and say you're wrong and I'm right. But the people who aren't in my circle, who I don't know, I don't give a fuck. And most of the time, unfortunately for them, which is sad, you go on their profile and they're just screaming for attention. They just, unfortunately, they're probably very down on themselves. They may not have a social life. They may not be in shape. They may not be who they want to be. So it's a dopamine chase. They're like, oh, Jarrah replied to my comment. That makes them feel good about themselves. So I don't give it the attention. And yeah, it's unfortunately the bad thing about social media is that I think a lot of people see all this success and the lives that they probably wish that they had, and their reaction to that is to hate, which it's fucked. But yeah, it doesn't worry me one bit as far as what they say to me, but it worries me, why did they say that? What's so bad in their life that they've said that?
I liked how you sort of touched on, obviously, once you were sort of confident in yourself, it didn't bother you and stuff like that anymore. That's probably, so I like having this conversation. It's like, you're at the point, like, in that essence where I'm trying to be. I'm sort of going through that process of still trying to, like, really, like, figure out who I am. Because for a long time, I'll put my hand up, I'll admit it, I was just sort of, who I was just a byproduct of, like, the content I was consuming, like, what I was listening to. I didn't really have any thoughts that were my own. It was always, my opinion was someone else's opinion, and I just ran with it. And I was very, very lost in stuff. And now it's like trying to figure out, and I'm still a while away from figuring out exactly, like, who I am. Like, I know what I want and stuff like that. But yeah, it's sort of struggling with the opinion of other people. And probably the biggest thing I probably have, though, it's probably the opposite way around. The feedback I'm getting from, like, comments and, like, from people DMing me and stuff, it's very, like, positive, very like, oh, this is awesome, this is amazing. But it's more the people in my personal life I'm really sort of having the difficulties with, of, like, not feeling levels of support, sort of feel like I'm very defensive. Like, when they're sort of talking about what I'm doing, I'm getting very hot and flustered. Like, I don't want to talk about it because I sort of feel like there's going to be a lot of judgment. And it's trying to overcome that. I'm going to ask selfishly, like, what do you think I should do in these situations?
I think take information and criticism from the people that you respect.
Yeah.
And maybe, as you said before, like, you're not happy with where you are and who you are at the moment. So it's like discovering what that looks like. And then when you get to that point, then I think you will take a lot more on board of the people that are close to you. But then the social media side of things, whether it's good or bad, you got to understand that, and a lot of people say this, if you're not getting hate, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So even though you are getting a lot of positivity, like, you want to start getting that sort of, not looking for the hate, but
No, I get you. I've started posting a few bits of content which have started getting the hate, because it was like, for a long time I was trying to keep myself very like in the middle sort of thing, not wanting to offend people, because like my wife, she sort of gets very thing of like what her family think, because they're on one side of the fence, I'm on the other side of the fence. Like we get along and everything. I believe like no matter what side of the fence and stuff you're on, you can get along with people, but it's like the fundamentals, like what I want to talk about, I know will sort of get backlash. And it's sort of realizing that I've got to, if you stay in that middle thing, eventually everyone's going to hate you, because you're sort of just going to be on that fence. It's like getting the confidence, and I guess it's through finding myself, sort of posting more like what I actually want to post. And I did one or two sort of like trial things on TikTok and stuff, just sort of like getting like a bit of a vibe, and it was like lots of like good stuff, but then like the amount of people coming at me hard and stuff like that, because I put up this reel saying, if no one agrees with you, no one hates you and stuff, you're a spineless piece of shit. It's like, you've got to just say what you mean, like, and you just wear the consequences. And I made sure, I did it on purpose, I had my Make Australia Great Again hat on and stuff like that, and everyone just went wild in the comments and section. I'm like, this is actually like, I know eventually there'll be things that will bug me, but like, it sort of fired me up a little bit. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I've got these people hating on me, so then I'm like, oh, now I can respond to their comments. It's like even more smart ass comments. And I guess it's just figuring out sort of like, yeah, who I am, what I stand by and stuff like that.
And I think it's like, the more controversial you are, the more you're going to get that. But at the same time, if you're only getting and looking for the people to agree with what you're saying, unfortunately, the audience is not going to grow, because the hate is literally engagement. And they're the ones that will comment. The ones that are supporting you, they'll comment here and there. But the ones who are hating on you, they'll comment on every single fucking post. So especially TikTok and Facebook, they're the most savage audiences that you can find. Yeah. But if you're getting all of that sort of controversy, then let's just say you get 100,000 views and 80% of it was controversy and hating on you, but the other 20% of people would not have seen you otherwise, because the engagement wouldn't have been there. So that's why like a lot of my stuff is like polarizing and controversial on my social media, like more so now, because I know that doing that is going to get me in front of the eyes that need to see it. And I don't care if it takes 80,000 people on a 100,000 view post to get to the other 20,000.
Do you think a lot of people sort of don't really sort of follow through and say what they mean, because they're sort of worried about like being deplatformed and stuff, like especially what you do and stuff online and stuff? All it takes is for someone to report it, doesn't like it, you get shut down and stuff. Is it like getting comfortable knowing that your income isn't relying on that? Because I mean, that was probably my biggest thing as well. It was starting this podcast. Obviously I make nothing from it, and so that I'm like, I want to be careful, because I don't want to get myself on a bad foot off the jump.
I don't know. I think like the best thing I did was just not care at all. If I was posting something that I believed I was right in saying and I believed in, then whatever comes of it, comes of it. Sometimes it flops and you get no one, no hate, no love, no nothing. But then sometimes it's, so you can't control what's going to happen from it. I think it just needs to be raw, genuine, and have integrity with whatever it is, and just let it play its field.
What's your hot take? What's like the biggest thing you want to push online and stuff that you might get a little bit of feedback on?
Masculinity is one thing that I'm pushing a lot of, because I just think there's a lot of weak men that unfortunately don't back themselves and don't do the things that I think I know that they should be doing and they could be doing.
What do you think causes it?
Social media.
Yeah.
I think, especially, I think it's getting worse. Like, people are just getting a lot more soft, and like more people are getting a say. And I think a lot of the sayers are the poor me, and it makes everyone else sort of become softer because they have to respect the poor me people.
No, I get that. I hate the victim. The victim mentality is very much accepted, and like people encourage it. Like, I don't want to like hate on anybody and stuff, but like I see stuff online. This one guy I've seen popped up, and like no hate to him and stuff. It's more just like I look at it and I just disagree with it. Like, he goes around with a teddy bear everywhere and like talks to his teddy bear and has his coffee with his teddy bear, and it's like the comment section. I read the comment section. I see this and I'm like, this is so like fucked up. Like, this, like, if this is like what men are coming to, like, we're stuffed. And like the entire comment section, it's a bunch of women and I'll say it, LGBTQ HDMI transformers commenting on it, encouraging it, saying this is awesome, this is thing. And any man that comments on this, like, what the hell, bro? Like, go to the gym. It's like you have that, then there's like 200 responses from that, women just roasting them, like, oh no, you have to be in your emotions, you have to be in your feels and stuff like that. And I'm like, there's a difference between like being in your feels, being vulnerable and stuff, and then like, in my opinion, being a bit of a pussy. And like, that's probably where I've been struggling with, because I was very just closed off with everything and didn't want to share anything. And like, even me sharing things now, I'm sort of in my head, I'm like, why the fuck you say this? No one really cares. I'm trying to be a little bit better, like at least like be more honest and authentic with sort of what I'm thinking.
For sure. It's just the weak-minded people. Like, I think they're screaming for attention, and that's the carrying a teddy bear around, like saying that you are not going to be a male or a female, but you're a cat. Like, those kind of things is just, unfortunately, those people, they don't think they're a cat or whatever. It's attention.
Yeah, 100%.
And they're just really struggling they've got low confidence, they've got low self-esteem, they've got nothing going for them in their life, so they have a soft mind and a weak mind, and everyone's just praising that, and like, it's becoming this popularity contest, and that's how they're getting their popularity, by being so different. Who can have more
things wrong with them? Who can be the weirdest, act the weirdest?
Yeah, and for men especially, like, we should be leading, we should be confident, we should be strong, we should be powerful, like all those things that a man should be, where it's just, unfortunately, it's going not backwards. There's still a lot of those there, but the door's open for people who are very unsure of themselves to label themselves as being not what a man should be. And it's just getting more and more popularized for people to be different. Like, different is okay, but like for the right reasons. So I think a lot of it is not the right reasons. It's just that they've become very unsure of who they are, and the social media has just opened this door for them to get a lot of attention.
I reckon the biggest fix for it all is go to the gym, join your program.
100%.
I mean, like, when people sort of meet you and stuff, what's the biggest like misconception that they have?
What's like, my image definitely portrays a lot of judgment before people meet me, but I think a lot of them do assume that I am the typical Gold Coast fuckboy, up myself, sort of all the things I'm not. Like, and a lot of the time people do say, like, you are the complete opposite of what I thought you were. Yeah. So, and I obviously put the tattoos on myself. I wear the stuff I wear. I do the things I do. I post the things I do. I've got the Lambo. I've got the things that make people look at me and judge me. But it's not for the reason of like I said before, I don't care what people think about me, because I'm very sure of who I am as a person. I do like to stand out, and I am trying to build myself a brand. So those kind of things, as I said before, when you post something and you're controversial or you're polarizing, you're going to get all of that judgment, but you're also going to get in front of a lot more people that you wouldn't have otherwise got in front of.
Yeah, and like being honest, like if I was to see your profile and stuff without obviously having the prior context from like Scott and stuff, obviously being like, what an awesome bloke you are. Again, you're gonna see it and you're gonna be like, yeah, typical Gold Coast stuff like that. But then like, yeah, 100%. But sitting down with you, I'm like, it's like, and I hope people at home can like tell as well. It's like it's not like that. Like you said earlier, you're not like you don't think you're not the smartest person and stuff. I actually disagree. Like listening to you talk and stuff, like you articulate yourself so well. So you got to start telling yourself you are smart.
Yeah, 100%. I do. Honestly, like I tell people that the power of how you talk to yourself, it's an analogy I use is talk to yourself like you talk to your 9-year-old daughter. Because a lot of people would sit there and not say a lot of the shit that they say to themselves. But I also need to do that. And I'm continuing to learn and I will continue to learn. But I don't think I'll ever be at the point where I'm like completely perfect. And I think that's where I get excited, is knowing there's so much more that I can do and feel and grow, even though I am so sure about myself. So, yeah, it's like I'm, even coming here today, I'm like, fuck, I'm going to stumble on sentences, I'm going to say shit, and I'm going to watch it back and go, fucking, that doesn't even make sense. But I'm like, I just don't give a fuck. Like, people can see and watch and hear and judge as much as they want. Like, this is me, and I'm not here to try and impress anyone other than myself.
No, and trust me, I don't think you're going to listen back and hate it as much as I'm going to listen back and hate myself. Like I did one episode recently, and in the moment I thought, like, oh my God, this episode's awesome and stuff. And like this is like what sort of put me into a bit of a rut the last couple of days. Like coming down here this morning, like I came down here like super early, and it was like a reason to try and like. I'll get to the analogy, but it was like I did this episode. I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. Went back, edited it. I'm like, holy crap, this is shit. I'm like, where was I that last hour and a bit? I'm like, I clearly wasn't in the room if I thought that was any good. Reluctantly posted it. I'm like, I've got to do it because like I'm gonna like doing this. Like I've realized I'm gonna be shit for a while. You got to be shit before you're good at something, and then. I got myself down, resulted back into like my little binge eating, which I hadn't done in ages. I was being super good, locked in with like posting 2-3 times a day across platforms and stuff. And I'm like, I pulled myself yesterday. I'm like, what am I doing? Like I'm sitting here just binge eating, watching freaking Netflix. I'm like, how unproductive. And I feel so tired because I'm doing nothing. And I was just playing like, I called it like the little violin. I was playing my own little violin for myself. And I'm like, I've got to stop playing this little song that I play for myself every single time. I've got to get in the car, throw that motherfucker out of the window, run it over, because I cannot keep going back to the violin, because if I keep going down this path, I know exactly where it's going to end. I've got to do the things I've never done before, because to get things I've never had, I'm going to have to do things I've never done. Mm-hmm. And that's why I told myself I left the Sunshine Coast at 12:30 this morning. Drove down here, took about 2.5 hours to get here. I then got here, put my AirPods in. I went for about a 2-hour walk. Just walked in my thoughts, listened to my music and stuff. And I'm like, I just need to sit here. Like, I need to listen here in like solitude, listening to a thing, just jot down thoughts and just like try and unfuck my own head and like just try and get that sad story like out. Because like I've made this thing, I call it SSS, sad story syndrome, and I roast people for it. But like I'm still like I still do it myself sometimes. Like people play this story and tell everyone all the bad stuff and sad stuff about themselves because they want the positive feedback from people saying, "Oh, it's okay, like it's understandable, like of course you're not going to get there because you've had to deal with all of this," or like, "Oh my God, you're even better because you." Had to go through these hard things. I'm not saying like people who don't go through hard stuff, it's not important or cool. Of course it's awesome, but it's the people that constantly just play on the heartstrings and just want that validation, like oh, like remember this happened, and I had to have a brutal conversation with my best mate, and it was I had to say to him, like, mate, you keep playing this sad story in your head, you've got to get over it. Like he's gone through stuff, and like he jokes about like his dad killed himself when he was younger. Obviously that's a terrible thing and stuff, but it is he overuses it. He knows he overuses it. Like he uses, oh, my mama had nothing. Like we didn't have anything. And I'm like, I understand shit has happened to you, but you cannot keep doing these things to get validation from people that, oh my God, you've achieved this because you've come from this. It's like everyone has a sad story. You just can't be defined by that story and can't keep playing it over and over and over. There's got to be a point where you realize you've become a different person. You can't keep living in that old version of yourself.
100%. And there's so many people that have got the same story and they're absolutely killing their life. So it's victim's mentality. Unfortunately, the world's full of it. And I did a reel about it the other day of being sad will make you broke, because people aren't going to want to be around it. They'll be there to support you at the start and be like you said, it's all right, you've got a story, like no one knows what you've been through, blah, 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 blah. But over time, people are attracted to positive people, and they'll only give you so much of that sort of comfort before they're like, look, you're draining my positive vibe. This is why I stopped PT, because I would go to the personal training, the gym that I was training out of, on top of the world, loving life. There'd be 30% of my clients that are good clients. They're doing the work, they're putting in the effort, they're getting the results. The other 70% are only there because they know they should be there. So those people are like, oh, I can't do this, or I fucked up my weekend because this happened. And it's like all this just negative. And I'd go home negative. Like my whole day would just absorb that positive energy I had at the start to go home going, fuck this. Yeah. And then I started doing online, and like, because online we're handling the whole thing. So we're not just like the 30% of clients that we were helping at the gym that were good clients was because they knew what to do on the other 7 days of the week. They were getting results, where the other 70% didn't know and they weren't getting results and blah, blah, blah. So that's why we went online, because we could handle everything for them and we get a lot more results. We have a lot more positive people around us. And that's what my community, like a big thing of the reason that my fitness business is doing so well is the community. And it's not just the client community, it's the internal employee community as well. We're like a family. Everyone is so supportive and so motivational with each other. There is the handful of people that have that negative, but they soon get pushed to the side, and people don't continue to just absorb their stuff and give their time. They do at the start because everyone deserves a chance, but if you keep crying, poor me, the people will start to remove themselves from your energy.
Energy is very contagious.
Oh, it's something that my mum's very woo-woo or hippie or whatever you want to sort of call it. So she always used to talk about the energy of the moons and the stars and the crystals and all this kind of shit. And I used to turn my nose up at it. And not to say that I'm into the moons and the crystals and the stars, but a lot of stuff that she used to say to me that I used to turn my nose up at, just about like the subconscious way you talk to yourself. You go into a car park and you tell yourself you're going to get a car park, and then you get a car park. It's like those kind of things. I was like, fucking whatever. But you're creating the chances to be a lot higher when you are in control of your subconscious. And if you're negatively controlling your subconscious, the negative shit will happen in your life. That car park won't be there. The scam will happen. The relationship will fall through, because you have already created this negative energy within yourself. So a lot of where I am now has come from being so convicted in that positive and doing everything I can to hold that as much of my days and my weeks and my months as I possibly can, by being selective with who I hang out with. And yeah,
it really does wonders. Like, I've tried living my life sort of like, there's two things I've been really telling myself the last couple of things, like to do with energy and like that mindset thing. It's like, if you can be in a bad mood for no reason, be in a good mood for no reason, just trying to shift from like this, like the negatives is like, okay, if I can just be more positive overall, that's going to have a more of a net negative. Like, getting towards the end of this episode, I mean, is there anything that we haven't discussed that you would like to discuss with us?
I wouldn't say they're important, but just like periods of, like, there was a period of my life where, and this is why I got this tattoo.
What does it say?
Jared.
Yep.
So when I was 19, I think, he was one of my best mates. He used to live at our house, and he died in a car crash because he fell asleep in the back of a car. And the guy that owned the car, was at a party, came out drunk, got in the car, drove the car and crashed the car with my mate asleep in the back. So that happened. Then I had another mate get stabbed to death I think it was 3 months later. And then another mate committed suicide 3 months later. So that was without me realising at the time, I feel like that was a very pivotal point of my life where even though I was 19, I wasn't successful, I didn't have any drive or anything like that. I always look back at that point and I'm like, that just, I think, gave me a lot more appreciation of life and how short it can be. And like, as you get older, you get more of that because you're getting closer to the end. But I think those kind of things and those sort of periods of adversity, even though they weren't immediately affecting my life, I look back on life now and I'm like, that's stuff that not many people go through. And that period of my life was like really, really hard, but it gave me a lot of underlying confidence and appreciation of just life in general, not so much like the business or the body that I have or anything like that. So I think, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I think a lot of things that happen in our lives happen for a reason without realizing it. And it's not like a instant thing that you get out of it. It's just something that like every step of those tough periods are just there to secretly build you up. And that was something that I feel like just, it rattled me at the time, but like now knowing where I am right now and of going through that, it's just a little thing that I know was meant to happen, if that makes sense.
100%. I mean, yeah, that's a hard thing to like respond to. I mean, obviously, first of all, sorry for like obviously you had to go through that and stuff. I mean, it's one of those things like you're so young and stuff in such a short span of time to lose so much.
Yeah.
Especially to each of the different circumstances and stuff like that. Obviously, it's very, very confronting. Like, was the area where you grew up a rougher place?
Yeah, it was a lot of crime, a lot of unemployment, and that's why I feel like I had, unfortunately, had this ceiling of where I was able to get to myself, because there wasn't people who were in shape. I was like this standout person because I got in shape at the gym. Like there's a handful of us that trained. There was no one that was earning more than $100,000 a year. There was no one that had. There's supercars were absolutely not a thing. Like that, it was just a very sheltered bubble that I was stuck in. That I just obviously you only know what you know. So yeah, it was definitely a reason as to why I was stuck for so long was the place that I was at. And there was like I think my two best mates at school. One's unfortunately still an ice addict. The other one's been to jail. The sort of circle around that went to jail. Like there's so many people that are still drug addicts from back home that I was like best mates with. So it's not because they were bad people. It's just because that's the environment they were involved in and they got caught up with the wrong things, doing the wrong shit. Unfortunately, I did here and there, but like I caught myself. Like there's a period where I was, ice was it was an epidemic back where I was from. So, and I was dabbling in it, like not every day or not like completely addicted, but to the point where the thing that really snapped me out of it was we went to a mate's house for the World Rally. The World Rally used to come through, and I was doing it there, and my little brother came out, and I was hiding it from my little brother. I'm like, this is fucked. And then I seen so many of my mates just go like that every single day were doing it, and it just became this thing that was like, it was just like smoking weed. And I'm like, fuck, I smoke weed every day already. The next step is this. Like I really need to catch myself here.
Yeah, like he really balanced sort of life could have very easily not turned out the way it did today. Like why? Like how do you go from like weed to ice? And like obviously I've never done like ice or anything like that, but like did it feel good, or was it? Yeah,
it's one of the, and that's why it's so addictive because
it feels so good,
and you get addicted to the hit. Like the after feeling is the same as like if you have like MD or Coke or any of those kind of things, you stay on this level. The ice, you have this big fuck off spike, and then you come back down a bit and you stay on this high level, but then you're just searching for the big spike again. It's the same as smoking a bong. Like when you're smoking weed, you get addicted to the hit. Rather, the feeling, you get so immune to the feeling, it doesn't even feel like a feeling anymore. So it's any addictions like that. Like you're just chasing that tiny little hit that you have, and then you come back down to level, and then you go for the hit again.
And some of those old friends are still chasing that high.
Yeah. Like I seen my little brother last night, and we were speaking about a few of them. Like there's a few that have come good and gone back and come good, and there's a few that just haven't come good at all. There's a few that have completely changed their life, like me. But more often than not, it's the same people are doing the same shit.
Like, is there any way that you can help them, or does it really just come down to that they're not willing to help themselves? They're not ready to stop yet.
That's exactly what it is. Like, they could have the best person and the best information and the best help behind them,
but they need to be ready.
If they're not wanting to stop, then unfortunately you're wasting your time, which is sad, because it's like when you see someone go from being such a normal, high positive person to just watching them just absolutely tarnish their life and their family and their relationships and their potential because of this thing that's just taking control of them. I used to try and help because I didn't understand that, like, I thought I could be the thing that, like, could change them. But the more I tried to do it, and the more I realised that the only ones that came out of it were because they wanted to. And a lot say they want to, but
they don't.
They don't. No.
Yeah, it's a very, very complicated thing, and obviously there's so many different forms of addiction and stuff. It's not always just like drugs, alcohol and stuff like that. Obviously you can go down the rabbit hole of, like, you've got gambling, you've got pornography, you've got a long list of things. And I find like a lot of people, especially these days, are sort of hiding behind a lot of addictions and stuff that, like, wouldn't be very present and stuff. Like
Food's another one.
Food, yeah.
And it's those dopamine hits. That's what
it feels good. Like I'll be the first person to admit, and like I've only really ever said this to like my partners. Like, I've got like a huge like food thing, and it's like you don't want to, like, and it sounds stupid, like comparing it just after we've spoken about like the ice and stuff like that, but like
it's on par.
It's like you keep eating, even though like you feel sick, you don't want to eat. You just keep eating, and it's like you're eating bad food as well. It's not like, oh, my food addiction is chicken and rice and stuff like that. No, it's KFC, it's pizza, it's McDonald's, it's burgers. It's, I'm going to head out, let me quickly grab like a frozen Coke, stuff like that. It's like, it does grab a hold of you, and it's, trying to break that and sort of like push away. Like, I'm trying to now like fast myself to try and just like snap myself out of it and stuff. But it can very easily pull you back in.
The food's one of those ones that I think is, a lot of it is because of the misconception that you have to, and this is another thing that the reason I did binge eat for so long was because every time I had a processed food, I felt guilty. And it was
because of the training and bodybuilding?
Yeah, because I thought that thing, but I thought for the wrong reason. I thought that that was going to make me fat. It's not. Like, you could eat literally the whole day worth of processed food and not gain a skerrick of fat. Or you could eat the whole day of really healthy, clean food and gain a kilo of, not a kilo in a day, but you could gain fat. It's not the actual food type. It's the amount of food that you're eating. But those high palatable foods are the processed ones, which that's how the companies want. They want you to over consume it. So they make it super, super flavoursome and high in sodium and all the things that it does spike our dopamine. So we want more of it, and we end up having too much. Where the thing that got me out of my binge eating was understanding I could still have all of those things, but in moderation. So I'd still have And I didn't have to have certain foods. Like I thought chicken, broccoli and rice was the bodybuilder's secret. I don't ever have chicken, broccoli and rice anymore. I just literally eat whatever I want to eat, but I'm eating like 70% of my food clean and healthy food because it's of health, nothing to do with my composition. It's just purely for my health. And then the other 30%, I'll have the chocolate, I'll have the ice cream every single day because I know that it's not, when I'm controlling the amount of stuff I'm having and knowing that I can have it without feeling guilty, I don't overconsume it because I'm not feeling guilty about it. It's part of my calorie intake for the day.
You know, that it makes sense, like hearing you say it, but like it's probably like the wiring in my brain. It's like the second I know it's completely my fault, like why I think like this, but it's like I have one bad thing, I write the entire day off. I think it started like my thing with food was when I used to be super super skinny. Getting into the gym, it was like eat as much as you can, and I think that was like I grew like I went from probably being like maybe like 62, 63 kilos in high school to then like still going to the gym, like, but like, just bulk eating to like in the space of like, I don't know exactly how long it was. Probably like, if I look back in like the space of a year, I was in like 104 kilos and I was just like, and I trust me, I don't have the frame to be 104 kilos without looking like absolute crap. But it was like this like constant eating. And now it's like, for me, if I was to have one bad thing, I instantly just go, well, tomorrow we'll have to start again. Because I feel like even if I've trained, I guess it's just the psychology in our heads and sort of how we're all wired. I have one bad thing, I'm like, oh, well, that's the day ruined. Let's just have one more bad thing. It doesn't matter.
Self-sabotage. And it's just, I did the same thing because when I first started bodybuilding, or like training, sorry, I was the same. I was 60, I think I was 65 kilos, but I got to about 80 kilos or something in the first 6 months, but like I was pretty lean still. But I didn't like food back then. I had to force feed myself. Like I think I had like 2 or 3 smoothies every day just to get my calories in.
Like the big mass gainers and stuff.
Yeah, like the mass gainers, and I'd put peanut butter in it, and I'd put like oats, and I wouldn't really. Food focus was not a thing for me back then. The thing that fucked me was doing the bodybuilding comp and getting myself so restrictive and labeling things as not allowed and getting to the level of body fat I got. I became insanely food focused after that because I'd missed out on all these things, and I deprived myself for so long that when I tasted that stuff like chocolate again, the flavor release was just insane.
You hit that high again.
You get the high again, and yeah, it was a weird transition because I'm like, if I didn't bodybuild, if I didn't do that first bodybuilding comp, because I'm still food. I love food now. Like, I didn't really care for it back then. I'm like, would it have still changed to where I am? I don't know. But that's why I had to adapt and learn how I can still enjoy my food now that I am a foodie. How can I enjoy my food and still stay in shape? And even in my comps after that first comp, like I was to the day of stepping on stage, I had ice cream the night before. Okay. And I think that blows a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, because obviously most people don't have ice cream the night before.
Yeah, and they just think those bad foods will put them out of shape. Like I said, it's nothing to do with the food. It's the amount of food that you're having, and I was definitely having a lot less calories at the point of stepping on stage. Like I was getting down to like, and this is not for anyone else to do, but 1,600 calories to get to that level of body fat. But in that 1,600 calories, as long as I'm hitting my protein and I'm getting enough healthy fats in, because fats are good for your hormones, then I could still have those. I think I had a muesli bar, 120 grams of ice cream, and a roll of chocolate, all the way up to the day of comp. Okay. So, yeah, it's like, obviously you want to be healthy, you want to have the whole foods, and that's why I say 70%, at least 70, if not 80. Yeah. But don't ever remove everything, because then you will get so restrictive on yourself and you get that sort of bad pattern of guilt, and then you do have those things, and then you just overindulge, and then you get self-sabotage, you feel guilty, you start again the next day, you start again the next week.
It's a big cycle. Look, I know we're running out of time, so I'd like to ask you the final question. If the entirety of our conversation was just deleted and everything you've posted on social media was deleted and you only had the next 60 seconds, what would you say?
I would say to look forward to the problems in your life and the adversity, because they're going to shape the resilience, the conviction, and the self-belief for you to get through the next hard thing. And the more of that you go through, the more powerful and the more strength you have for anything in life. I think too many people shy away from that, and when things get hard, they switch off and unfortunately they don't do the things that they need to do to get out of it, and next time it happens, they're weaker than they were the first time. So use those periods of your life as building blocks to become a better version of you, because if you do it right, you can come out of that with a massive trajectory.
Awesome, thank you. Well, mate, appreciate you coming on.
No worries, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Guys, that was another episode of The Great Human Reconnect. Until next time, stay safe.